here's our first essay for today. Now I'm going to read the prompt and then we'll take a look at this diagram and then make our notes as necessary. First, it says the diagram below shows the process of yogurt making. Summarize the information by selecting and reporting the main features and make comparisons where relevant. Write at least 150 words. Okay, so this is our prompt for today. We see that we have a numbered process 1 through 8. Now, this doesn't always mean that the first 4 steps will automatically go in your first paragraph and the last 4 will go in your second paragraph. We should really look at this and analyze what it's telling us. So I'm just going to go ahead and underline some words here and just make sure that we're on the same page when it comes to understanding this diagram. Number 1 says heat milk to 100 degrees Celsius, cool milk until slightly warm, thin some old yogurt with a little cold milk, whisk yogurt and milk together until smooth and the yogurt is dissolved, pour the yogurt mixture into the warmed milk, wrap mixture in towels to keep it warm, wait for the yogurt to set for 4 hours, and then refrigerate the yogurt. Now, what comes to my mind immediately is the preparation work and then the setting work. So I would actually break up these 2 stages into all the preparation and then waiting for the yogurt to set. Let's go ahead and take a look at our step 1. And so we're going to analyze the diagram and describe the key information, looking at the first half and the second half of the process. Now, again, this is going to be subjective. What you think is the first half and the second half is really up to you. It's not going to make or break your essay. Just make sure that everything is done in a logical way and in an organized way. So I'm going to say that the first half of the process is basically everything from heating the milk up until pouring the yogurt with warm milk. So I'm going to talk about steps 1 through 5. And then I'm going to use these last 3 steps, 6, 7, and 8, for my second half. So I'm going to talk about the final stage here, and that's going to be wrapping the mixture all the way up to refrigerating the yogurt. And so this step is really just to make sure that I understand the process and then I have a brief outline. Just this box is good enough to make sure I know where I'm going and where I'm stopping and what I'm going to add. This is technically optional, but I would highly recommend using some sort of small, brief outline. Remember, no one is going to see this outline, so you can make abbreviations and you don't have to use perfect grammar. This is just for you. You could also make notes directly on your prompt like I've done. If you'd like, you could also write your sequencers. If you have memorized them and you want to make sure that you don't forget any of your sequencers, that's also a great idea. Now, before we actually start writing the essay, I just want to take you back to reflect on the scoring and what the examiner is going to be looking at when reading your essay. This will give us a great backdrop for words to include and the logic and the organization behind our essay. So let's take a look at that now. Okay, let's take a look at the scoring. We'll talk about each of the points. First off, we have the task achievement. This is going to deal with whether or not we've answered the question. So have we described the stages of the process of making yogurt? Have we done so in a minimum of 150 words? I will say that this specific question type actually makes it difficult to meet that minimum requirement just because it might seem so clear-cut and simple, and you don't really have to talk about an overview because there isn't really anything to observe when it comes to trends. So the fact that we have 3 paragraphs, really have to make sure that we're adding everything in and meeting our 150 word requirement. So this is very important here. Did we answer the question at hand? Second, we have coherence and cohesion. So does it make sense? Is it logical? Did we start in a logical way? So this means you don't want to start with the final stage. You want to start with the first stage of the process and then use our sequencers to go on from there. The 3 paragraph rule with this specific question type will make this very clear. Now, the last two areas are lexical resource and grammatical range and accuracy. This is where your word choice comes in, your spelling, your sequencers, your present perfect passive versus active voice or past passive. All of that stuff that we talked about at the beginning of this video will come in handy when you want to get maximum points for these two areas. So really recognize that two of these areas have to do with your work on the essay, and two of them really have to do with your preparation work and all of your knowledge of grammar and vocabulary coming into the exam. So just keep that in mind. Very important to prepare and very important to remember this when writing the essay. Okay, so with that being said, let's go ahead over and write our essay now with our outline in mind. Now we have all of our preparation work on the left-hand side and our actual diagram. So I'm going to write on the right-hand side here. And I've included these three headings just for us today. Do not write this on the exam, but this is just to give you a good idea of how I'm going to separate my essay. So if you remember correctly, the first introduction paragraph is going to paraphrase the question, the task here that we see. So I'm going to start and I'm going to say the flow chart illustrates the yogurt making procedure. Overall, the process involves 8 steps, which can be grouped into 3 main stages: preparing the milk, mixing the ingredients, and setting the yogurt. And let's just talk about this here. So instead of saying diagram, I've said flow chart. And instead of saying shows, I've said illustrates. And the process of yogurt making, I basically just flipped it into saying the yogurt making procedure. Now, I talked about the 8 steps, and I grouped it into 3 main stages, sort of like what we talked about when we analyzed the diagram. I have talked about how the 3 main stages are preparing the milk, then mixing the ingredients, and then setting the yogurt. In my body paragraphs, I'm going to basically include the first 2 steps. And then in my body paragraph 1, I'm going to include the first 2 stages. And then the body paragraph 2 is going to be wrapping and setting the yogurt. This is what I mean by really making sure that you're analyzing the diagram and not just splitting 4 and 4 for these 8 steps into body paragraph 1 and body paragraph 2. Always make sure there's some logic behind it. Okay, now let's go into body paragraph 1. In terms of preparing the milk, it is first heated to 100 degrees Celsius on the stove. Following this, it is taken off the heat in order to be cooled to a moderately warm temperature. As far as the second stage of mixing the ingredients is concerned, a little cold milk is added to some old yogurt so as to thin it, after which the yogurt and cold milk are whisked together until the mixture is a smooth consistency with no lumps. Subsequently, the mixture is poured into the warm milk. Now, I've added information here. And like I said earlier, this will really help with this specific question type because it is sometimes difficult to reach this 150 word minimum with this specific prompt and question type. So let's just take a look at what I added. I added on the stove. And obviously it's going to be heated somewhere, but the fact that I saw this flame here is a good indication that it's going to be on the stove, not somewhere like in the oven. Now, this isn't absolutely imperative. Again, it helps with the word count, and it also tells the examiner that you are familiar with language, with different vocabulary words, and it definitely doesn't hurt. It adds something quite important to your essay. Then I said that it is taken off the heat in order to be cooled. So I've also added this as well. It's not just going to be heated and then cooled automatically. So I said it is taken off the heat. And then as far as the second stage of mixing the ingredients is concerned, A little cold milk is added to some of the old yogurt, okay? And then it's whisked together until the mixture is a smooth consistency. I've added this word consistency. And if it is smooth, it will not have any lumps. So I've included no lumps as well, even though that isn't in our diagram. Then I've said subsequently, the mixture is poured into the warmed milk. So I didn't add too much, but I just added some nice key phrases about the stove, no lumps, and I just made everything flow a little better. Now we're going to look at body paragraph 2, which remember is the final stage. So we're going to talk about wrapping and then all the way up to refrigerating the yogurt. Final stage is setting the yogurt. Now, after the yogurt has been wrapped in towels to maintain the slightly heated temperature, it is left to set for 4 hours. Lastly, the yogurt is stored in the refrigerator to keep it cool. And there you have it. So let's look at this body paragraph 2. The final stage, like we said, is setting the yogurt. So I'm looking at step 6. After the yogurt has been wrapped in towels to maintain the slightly heated temperature, it is left to set for 4 hours. So notice how I've included 6 first and then 7, but I have used this nice word after. So I've sort of included both steps in one sentence. And then we see lastly, the yogurt is stored in the refrigerator to keep it cool. And of course, I've just added that again to keep it cool, even though we don't see it necessarily in our diagram. Now, this is our essay. I'm just going to clean it up a little bit so we can examine the language and look at the grammar. Okay, and here is our final product. I've eliminated the headings and I've also color-coded it, which we're going to look at together. Now, first off, the word count is 164 words. That's great for this question type. We have definitely fulfilled the minimum, and we have talked about everything that needed to be said when it comes to this process. Let's first take a look at the blue words. These are synonyms and topic vocabulary. Basically, we see milk, ingredients, yogurt. Lumps is something that I added, which is good to know when it comes to whisking and baking. Then I have mixture, poured. This is a great verb, which we saw here, but make sure you're familiar with how to use it, and warm milk. So there isn't that much when it comes to synonyms and topic vocabulary to this specific topic of yogurt making, but it is just good to point out. Also keep in mind the paraphrasing that we did in the introduction paragraph. Let's take a look at the red, important functional words. This sets the stage and makes everything a bit logical. So when we're talking about the whole process, we see overall. Then in terms of something, so we talked about in terms of preparing the milk. This is quite specific because we're talking only about preparing the milk. Then this is a great formula. As far as, and then we have something, is concerned. So we put a noun here. So as far as the second stage is concerned, and then we talk about it with some detail. These are just great to be specific, give examples, and make the essay just move along. Now let's take a look at our useful vocabulary and phrases. This is in green. So this is very similar to what we saw in our sequencing slide. First, following, after which, subsequently, the final stage, after, and lastly. These are very similar to your important functional words, but they're very specific to stages and sequencing. So make sure that you are committing these to memory and using them when necessary, where appropriate in your essay. And lastly, I just want to show you the bolded phrases here. These are all of the passives. So it is heated, it is taken off, little cold milk is added, the yogurt and cold milk are whisked together, the mixture is poured. Remember, we don't know who is doing this. It is not important, but notice how much passive is in this essay. Lastly, here we do have a present perfect, which is nice. It's a little bit complex that I added these 2 steps in one sentence. You might be thinking that this paragraph is a little bit shorter, and it is. It isn't too short, but it's just short because it was able to effectively combine steps 6 and 7. So don't worry too much about that. Again, the more complex you can make it, the better it'll be for your grammar score. And so remember, we see after something has happened, then it is left to set. So this is why we have the present perfect and the present passive. Think of it as a timeline, just like we see here. So after something has been done, something else happens. And then lastly, the yogurt is stored in the refrigerator.